Hi everybody, welcome along to Trackside's Weigh In. This is the second last show of the current season for us, and the boys are here, all fired up in Butch Castle's. The Kiwis again pretty prominent on day 2 of the championships there in Sydney. Good evening.
Yeah, they sure were, DA. Good evening to you, Jason Collett, James McDonald, Sir Owen Glenn, Chris Waller and John Sargent, showing that he's a dab hand with those Oaks runners getting the job done by a lightly raced filly by Darcy Brahma.
And we look forward to reviewing the Australian side of things a little bit later in the program. Paul Shaler's here and Twiggy. 3 meetings in New Zealand this last Saturday, all on rain-affected tracks, so times they are a-changing. Good evening.
Yeah, good evening, Dave. Certainly are. It's time to bring out the wet track form guide, and certainly a time of the year where apprentices, they certainly start to shine. All right,
we will review the full lot of New Zealand meetings very, very shortly. If you'd like to get in contact with us, you can via facebook.com/weighinshow, at weighinshow on Twitter, and you can email us as well, weighin@nzracingboard.co.nz. Here's what's coming up.
The Kiwi connection was once again strong on day 2 of the championships. Former Matamata trainer John Sargent added the ATC Oaks to his mantle after a dominant display from Darcy Brahma filly, Gust of Wind. Sarge has now claimed the New Zealand, Victorian, the Queensland and ATC Oaks. Sacred Falls bowed out of racing after last week's Doncaster handicap. During his career, the son of O'Reilly amassed more than $4.6 million, claimed 4 Group 1 mile races, including the 2,000 Guineas, back-to-back Doncasters, and also the George Main Stakes.
Sacred Falls, can he do it back-to-back? Sacred Falls does it, back-to-back for Sacred Falls.
Waikato studs Mark Chittick will join us later in the show to chat about Sacred Falls' addition to their stallion roster. But first tonight, it's been some time since we've had the official Mouth from the South on the show. And although he couldn't be with us in studio, we're delighted and maybe a little apprehensive to have him back.
Well, from the south, that's some tag. Mark, good evening to you.
Yeah, hiya boys, and nice to be back with you on a week where there's plenty of talking points around South Island racing, and unfortunately, not all of it on the good side of the news either, which we'll dissect as we go through the first segment here on Wayne. But nice to be back off the interchange bench. All
right, nice to have you with us. Let's talk about the positive side of things first, and the racing there at Riccarton. Race number 4, Mark, was an open 1,000 metre race, which was taken out by Signify for Snooky Cowan and Chris Johnson. This is a big run and a super effort for a 3-year-old up against the older horses.
Yeah, Chris Johnson special, as we can see him there in the yellow cap, DA, straight through the middle of the pack. What makes this win even better, as you said, he's a 3-year-old in open handicap class. This horse has been up since last October. This was his 10th start, made it win number 3. He's run 4 seconds, and the horse he beat, Red Dirt Girl, she's a very handy mare, done a great job since heading south, and Tomovalia just beating King Montrose into that third end of the prize. Spoke to a Snooky Cowan this morning, the trainer of Signify. He is considering taking this horse to Te Rapa on Anzac Day for the Windsor Park Breeders' Stakes. I get the impression it was more a 70-30, if not 80-20 likelihood that Signify will be there unless something surfaced out of that run in the next few days. But the horse has pulled up in tremendous order. Red Dirt Girl, will see her once more before she goes for a spell, and that's next Saturday at Riccarton in a 1,200 metre open handicap. Great win by the 3-year-old though, DA.
Yeah, sure was. And Butch, gee, as Mark said, she's been up a long time. She's been very competitive in stakes races in her own age group, and to win against the older horses in open company, that's a really good effort.
Yeah, it was a super effort. Looked a lovely ride. He just bided his time, came through the middle. Really cheap buy out of the South Island sale. I think that sale's coming up this Friday down there. So just shows you that you can pluck a horse, I think 5,500 out of that sale, this horse. And why wouldn't you come north? Showed there, beating the older horses, it's going to be extremely competitive against its own age.
Yeah, whilst it was a good win, I'm going to disagree. I think, this time of the year, 3-year-olds, I don't think it's you can take too much into it and taking on the older horses. I think they're pretty much nearly 4-year-olds now. I thought the horse was aided by a beautiful ride, probably track conditions to suit too. I couldn't see it being competitive for Te Rapa.
Okay, let's have a look at race number 6 on the card. This is the open 2,000 metre race. This was taken out by Eva Kaniva, who's also been up a fair while, his campaign in the north as well, but back here successful for Tyrrell Charles and Rebecca Tyler Mark, and this will be a nice tonic for the trainer.
Very emotional win this one, DA. Rebecca Tyler in tears when she came back in on the winner, and an emotional presentation as well, of course. Terrell Charles battling some well-documented health issues at the moment. He'll head to the Great Easter, will Eva Kniever, over 2,500 metres in early May at Riccarton Park. An update on the stablemate She's Insatiable, who Pete and Terrell have done a super job with since the horse headed south. That runner's currently in the paddock. Rico Shea likely to be seen over the next couple of weeks, and the Bishop also in third spot heading towards the Great Autumn Handicap. I've got an update for you too on the Diamond one while we're on the Bishop, being raced by the Dennis brothers. Blood's taken from her today. There was a chance she'd come back to race at Riccarton for the Great Easter. They're thinking maybe not now due to the state of the track there on Saturday, and the Travis at Tarapa on Anzac Day is likely to be, as long as those bloods come back okay today, the next time we see the Diamond one.
Butch, Eva was good, wasn't she?
Yeah, she was. Look, she's done a great job. She came up north and was competitive in the north, gone back down and won that race really well. And I know it was Terrell's son Sam's birthday on Saturday as well. I heard them saying his 13th birthday. So, yeah, a little bit of sunshine in a very, very tough time.
Yeah, for sure. The horse won well and got track conditions to suit, but like you say, it'll keep the spirits high for the family, and all the best to them.
Indeed. All right, let's have a look at a replay of the concluding stages of race number 7 on the card. This was the listed New Zealand Bloodstock Air Freight Stakes. This was taken out by consensus. Nice overdue win here, Mark, for Terry Ray and Mark Duplessis.
Yeah, gutsy performance this, and I love the little bit of banter past the line we'll see from Mark Duplessis when he beats Matt Cameron on No Tricks. Terry said the horse pulled up really well. She's been down since just after the New Zealand Oaks, had a week off after the Oaks, resumed here. No Tricks had ample time to get her. Both of them head to the War Step on Saturday. Jason Bridgman reporting No Tricks has pulled up an absolute treat. Belle Mirage will head to the War Step, and Miss Seaton Sands, who'd been racing well, didn't handle the conditions. Stephen Woodsford's going to miss the War Step Stakes and send her to the Spelling Paddock. But highlight of that race, apart from the gutsy effort by consensus, you'll head back to the North Island after this weekend, was, as I said, D8, that little bit of banter between Mark Duplessis and Matt Cameron just past the post.
Yeah, and Mark, I think Butch is going to undergo a shoulder reconstruction, is that right?
Yeah, yes, he's got a major reconstruction to his shoulder. It's going to see him out of the saddle for upwards of around 6 months, from what I believe. So he's going to take a big break and get that shoulder right. I think it's, rather than something that's happened straight immediately, it's something that over a long period of time has become a cumulative thing, and the shoulder just needs to be tidied right up so that he's got a lot more years in the saddle. So he's taking the opportunity to do it. But back to consensus, look, she was really good. She's been competitive against the best 3-year-olds in the north all season. She's raced against the boys and the girls right through, and she's been running 4ths, 5ths, and not far away. And she ran 5th and then got 4th on one race anyway. And she was freshened up a little bit out of the Oaks, but it's good to be able to bounce back out of the Oaks and win a mile. The two of them singled themselves out, and I couldn't see anything turning it around behind them coming to the 2,000 metres of this Saturday.
I have nothing to add to that, Andrew. I feel as though you've covered absolutely everything.
Excellent. Let's move on then. Let's have a look at a replay of the concluding stages of race number 8. This was the other stakes race down at Riccarton on the weekend. The listed Christchurch Casino Easter Cup, the Open Mile, which was taken out by 10-1 chance Sir Singo for Matt and Michael Pittman and Lisa All Press. Mark?
And holds off Scapolo here, DA. You can see Scapolo in the black jacket. Sam Wynn reported after the race that Scapolo travelled keenly coming down the side, but just took some time to pick up in the footing when asked to go at the top of the straight. Just lifted this horse, Matt Cameron, as he so often does. He's come through the race well, Sir Singo. We'll see him next Saturday as he heads to the Canterbury Gold Cup. Scapolo, who ran second, Kevin Myers is not silly enough to list a cell phone number, so we were no chance of getting in contact with him to see where he'll end up next. It could be anywhere in the country, as you know from Kev. The third horse, Need a Star, who was the outsider of the race, went a real cheeky one. Next time we see him, DA, he'll head to Riverton on the 30th of April and will make an appearance in the Great Western Hurdles.
Good luck if you're looking for Kevin Myers at the moment. I believe he's overseas. But Sir Singo, nice effort, Butch.
Yeah, it was. Look, it wasn't great to see The Solitaire, was it struggling in the conditions? Scapolo, as we said, took a while to pick up in the ground, and a horse that's going to have its next start in a hurdle race is run third. So you'd have to query the form out of the race, but the winner's got the job done. And yeah, Lisa Allpress, she's still around. She's obviously waiting to get to Japan. I thought
there was some visa issues there, and that's the reason for the delay, but I believe she's still going there.
Yeah, so she must be nearly heading up to that new contract up in Japan, but she's had a great association with the Pitmans over the years.
She certainly has, and I think Michael was a little bit critical of the track conditions on Saturday down there at Riccarton, but he trained a double, so good on you, Michael. That's a good effort. But like you say, the form out of the race will be very iffy, I believe.
Might be hard to beat in a hurdle race, the third one.
Yeah.
He's obviously got plenty of flat ability. And...
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, the winner was ridden by Lisa Allpress, yeah.
All right, just before, Mark, we get an update from you, re the track conditions and some of the issues and complaints around that track on Saturday. Just quickly, Twiggy, just to declare your connection to the track manager, if you could.
Yeah, he's my father. Alan Chapman is my father, track manager at Riccarton, so yeah, but there'll be no bias here, don't worry.
Okay, all right. Mark, you've got an update for us. You've spoken to a number of trainers and riders re that track on Saturday.
I have, DA. Firstly, sorry, Lisa Allpress and Matt Cameron. It was Lisa, of course, on Sir Singo on Saturday riding that winner. Yeah, I spoke to a couple of jockeys in the North Island and the South Island, and they're all of the same opinion that the problem is the overwatering of the outside track. The irrigation that was put on during the week on the outside, which intends to make the track heavy, so they keep the riders to the centre of the track. One rider suggested that it was trying to play God, and that the watering on the outside with the camber seeps down to the inside and makes it wetter. So whilst trying to keep the horses off the outside rail, you end up having them all over the track in a situation like we got there on Saturday. There was plenty of rumours going around Riccarton on Saturday that there were horses slipping in the first and second races, and if it happened again in race 3, the meeting might have been abandoned. Spoke to the stewards at length. They offered the opportunity to show all the camera angles. They went through them in detail. They could find no evidence of horses slipping at Riccarton on Saturday. The track has been sand slitted and then it's been watered again, despite the fact they've tried to dry it out. Again, the weather forecast during the week on the Tuesday was forecast rain for overnight. It got to midday and they changed it to just easterlies. One rider suggested the grass was too long, but all of them are unanimous, DA, that there's too much watering of the outside track at Riccarton Park.
Okay, the correspondence that I have read the irrigation of the track, that 5 mils was put on the inner part, the whole circumference of the inner part, and also the outside part of the home straight. 5 mils both, and there was also a significant amount of rain directly after that leading into the meeting. So what you're saying, Mark, is that the outside was significantly worse than the inside, is that right?
Now, they just said they want the outside of the track to stop being irrigated. If they get out there, they should be given the opportunity, the riders, to find the best part themselves, not being kept off the outside rail, because it's out there. They're trying to make it as heavy as they can so the riders don't go to the outside fence. A lot said it was too wet for the rain that they'd had on Friday night. In fact, all of them said the track was way too wet for them in a rain that fell overnight leading into Friday to Saturday. I think there was 11 mils on the NZTR site. So it continues to be a talking point. There's been money spent on the track, but yeah, there was plenty of unhappy riders and trainers. Michael Pittman somewhat scathing in the Sunday Star Times.
Okay, so that's Riccarton on Saturday. As we know, another meeting has been abandoned in the last 7 days at Wingatui. Now, Matt Cross caught up with the officiating steward down there, Mark Davison. This was just in the last couple of days. This is what he had to say.
Well, Mark, once again, we see the disappointment of a meeting at Wingatui abandoned. Just talk us through the process there on the day.
Matt, unfortunately, that's about the third meeting in 5 meetings that we've had to put off at Wingatui. Races started fine. We ran 5 races, no incidents. One horse in a 5-horse field, free of interference, has slipped at the 800 metres. Once again, once we see that on a track, that means safety's in doubt for the riders and animals, and we have to go through a process then. It did take a wee while to resolve, but the meeting was abandoned due to our concerns over the safety of horses and riders.
Between yourself and the jockeys at the start of the day, your confidence levels must have been happy enough to run the meeting.
Very, very confident. Number of riders actually said to me prior to the races and during the first couple of races how well this track has improved at Wingatui. And if you walked it like I did, you would have had huge confidence that we wouldn't have had any issues.
All right, speaking of confidence, how much of that do you have that these issues are going to be resolved?
That's a matter for between NZTR and the club, but I know they are working hard. And Wingatui is a strategic venue, and I would expect that a resolution will be carried out. I'm not sure that it will be in the very near future, but obviously they'll be working on it as hard as possible because we do need that venue.
What about in terms of the confidence for the jockeys wanting to ride there? Is that a big concern?
I would say, Matt, that there is a confidence issue with some riders now, and I can't blame them for that because, as I say, 3 out of 5 meetings we've had to put off. So perhaps somewhere in the back of the mind they go there and think, is this venue safe for us? And that's the job of NZTR and the club to make that track safe as they can for all riders and horses, obviously.
Okay, it's the same part of the track. Is that a coincidence, or is there an issue over that top bend?
If you ask me, and Mike personally, we have had a number of issues at the 800. Once again, that's the point where most of our races are 12, 14, 16 down the back straight at Wingatui, so that's where they are starting to turn, where the pressure is starting to go on. But there have been a number of abandonments because of issues at that 800 metre point over the last 5 years.
What are your thoughts around the next meeting scheduled to run there at Wingatui?
I can't confirm anything, Matt, but I've been advised that they are certainly looking at an alternate venue, and I don't believe it'll be certainly run at Wingatui in the 22nd anyway. Maybe Oamaru is what they're looking at, I can probably say that.
Just want to touch on the process that you go through, specifically with the shoeing of the horses and making sure that the correct plates are applied to horses. I believe there was some sort of concern around the horse that slipped there.
Rumours more than anything that I believe. Certainly the plates are always inspected before they go out. The first thing after I'd seen that horse slip was one of my stewards and the farrier went out and checked the plates on the horses, and they were both able to report that they were in good, sound condition, and that shouldn't have been the issue.
All right, so Stipe Mark Davison with Matt Cross a couple of days ago, and I think he's probably touched on a very valid point, Butch. The confidence of the riders in particular has diminished a lot.
Yeah, that's right, DA. Look, it's probably evaporated to the extent that they've lost 3 of 5 race meetings. One of them was a dual code meeting. So, look, it's going to be hard to come back from that. It's interesting there that they're suggesting that they are going to transfer a meeting. I'm not sure that that's been confirmed by NZTR yet, but that to me would make the most sense in the immediate future. Take the meeting away, give them some time, get some work done on there and try and restore some confidence, not only in riders but stakeholders in general in the South Island. The trainers that are looking to nominate horses, the owners that are looking to pay the bills to get their horses there as well. They need their confidence restored.
Well, what have they been doing before now to restore their... What are they going to do different to what they're doing now?
Well, I suppose it's a matter of facing up to the fact that there is an issue there, and for some time it appears that, I mean, we had Greg Purcell on there, we've had people saying that everything's fine,
everything's roses, yeah.
Clearly it's not fine.
Yeah.
The evidence would suggest it's not fine.
So now we've got people blaming, they want to call the riders scared, blaming the riders, checking racing plates. Give me a spell, racing plates. Horses can go around barefoot. It doesn't matter what they, I mean, honestly, they're slipping and it's dangerous. Just close the joint down, sort it out, and don't open it again till it's safe. It's as simple as that.
Okay, Mark, you do have an update, and I believe the next meeting there has been moved.
Yeah, Oamaru looking likely for that one, DA, and further to the abandonment of the meeting down there the other day, the riders weren't unanimous that the meeting should have been called off. It was a split between them, but the trouble the RIU have is once a couple of riders go and approach them with concerns, as we saw, that horse slipped not quite as badly as the one that fell with Lee Calloway on a few meetings ago, that 99% of the time things are going to be okay. That 1% where something goes wrong, then we've got even bigger issues going on. It's obvious there's something wrong with the Wingatui track. Gary Foskett was there for the meeting on Thursday. NZTR need to get heavily involved in this and get this 800 metre mark sorted. Whatever the problem may be, they've worked heavily on the track and whatever they've done hasn't worked. So there's no horses worked on the Wingatui course proper. It's used solely for race day and I believe jump outs as well. And hopefully they get it fixed. You can't have 4 abandonments in 6 meetings. 3 out of 5's just not good. And there's another meeting down south which has been rescheduled too. Ascot Park's undergoing some work with horses slipping between the 8 and 300 metre mark. So they're going to put some drainage in at the half mile. And Wairio's Jockey Club's meeting will move to Winton on May 10. And just as a final word on this D8, Manly coach Jeff Tuvey was actually at Wingatui on Thursday. Don't know what he was doing there. We garnished him for his thoughts on what he thought about the Wingatui track as well. Take a look.
Oh, come on. Come on, that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. There's got to be an investigation into this. This has got to be, someone's got to be accountable for this.
Right, Mark, thank you. We'll catch you next week, hopefully. Now, we've just received a statement from NZTR which pretty much says what has been explained. Ascot Park is now closed for the remainder of the season, and the Wairio meeting has now been transferred to Winton on Sunday, May the 10th. As a result of the abandonment at Wingatui last Thursday, the 9th of April, NZTR and the Otago Racing Club will arrange a further inspection and evaluation of the track to be carried out as the inquiries so far have failed to identify any obvious cause of the incident in race number 6, which led to the abandonment of the final 2 races. So we wait to hear more. The April 22nd meeting at Wingatui has now been transferred to Oamaru. Let's hope that situation gets resolved ASAP. All right, as we head to the break, a rather sad note. You'll remember we had Maura Murdoch on the program a couple of weeks ago talking about the thrill she had from training Solvit to win a Cox Plate. Unfortunately, we've heard through that the 1994 Cox Plate winner passed away this week. He amassed an amazing amount of money given that his racing career was in the early 90s to mid-90s. He amassed $2 million in stakes, including obviously that win of the Cox Plate, and overall he won 15 races, and I'm sure he'll be fondly remembered by many. We're back shortly.
Straightened up a length and a half to Durbridge on the outside. Reading is coming with giant strides, and they're followed by Rough Habit, and back behind them is St Covered, but Solvit is still the leader with 100 metres left to go. Reading is flying down the outside, and El Cope coming with a great run, and here's Rough Habit. Solvit maybe from Rough Habit, Solvit maybe from Rough Habit, Reading and El Cove.